Hello friends, we'll be discussing about 7th unit, another element at the individual level, that is motivation, OB at individual level, motivation. First of all, I would like to introduce this topic. You might have heard this word in the normal layman language, motivation. What is motivation about? It is derived from the word motive. Motive may be defined as any inner state of mind that activates and directs our behavior. It makes us move to act. It is always internal to us and is externalized via our behavior. Motivation is one's willingness to exert efforts towards the accomplishment of our goals. So Fred Luthern defined motivation as a process that starts with physiological or psychological deficiency or need that activates behavior or a drive that is aimed at goal or incentive. According to Stephen Robbins, motivation is the willingness to exert high levels of efforts towards organizational goals, conditioned by the effort's ability to satisfy some individual need. So, it is the inner power that pushes you towards taking action and towards achievement. And motivation is empowered by desire and ambition, and therefore if they are absent, motivation is absent too. So it has come from the word motive. When there is motivation, there is initiative, direction, courage, energy, and persistence to follow your goals. Importance of motivation: organizations are run by people, and so managers cannot afford to avoid a concern for human behavior at work. This is because motivated employees are more productive and quality conscious than apathetic ones. Motivation as a pervasive concept affects and is also affected by a host of factors in the organization milieu. It enables managers to understand why people behave as they behave. Organizational effectiveness becomes to some extent the question of management's ability to motivate its employees. Hence, an appreciation of motivation always helps the managers how to motivate their employees. Machines become necessary in case of complex technology, and however these remain inefficient vehicles of effective and efficient operations without man to operate them. It means when we are talking about machines being a very necessary in case of complex technology, these remains inefficient vehicles of effective efficient operations without man to operate them. I think many of you had done without the classicals and the neoclassical theory. When we had discussed about neoclassical theory, there are a lot of motivational scientists like Abraham Maslow, Herzberg, Friedrich Herzberg, McGregor, who had brought about this theories of motivation to us. And they says to run the machines, to run the technology, it is not a robotic industry. To run to the machines and to run the technology, we need man behind the machine. So, therefore, we need organizations to need to have employees with required capability and willingness to use the advanced complex technology to achieve the organizational goal. With the realization that organizations will run in more complex milieu in future, and increasing attention has been given to develop employees as future resources. This facilitates the managers to draw upon them as and when organizations grow and develop. We divide the motivation into intrinsic and external, or intrinsic or extrinsic, or internal or external. Intrinsic, when we talk about, it occurs when people are compelled to do something out of pleasure, importance or desire, like achievement, orientation, advancement, recognition, growth, responsibility, job nature as such. And external motivation is which comes from outside, something which compels from outside pressure. So in simple words, motivation comes from two things, you and the other people. If an egg is broken, we say outside force, life ends. But if an egg is broken by inside force, then life begins. Great things happen from inside. It means to say that motivation is obviously given by inner motivational force, inner urge, inner willingness to do something. Then only motivation need arises. One should be motivated by inner urge. Outside pressure is the external force. I would take the story. You can read this caselet in the video so far. Intrinsic rewards are external to the person, like praise or money. Intrinsic rewards are internal to the person, example satisfaction or a feeling of accomplishment. Maslow's theories. We'll consider the theories of motivation. Sorry. Abraham Maslow's need hierarchy theory. Maslow's need hierarchy theory for understanding the motivation of human behavior. It maps different motivation into pyramid with each level representing a different human need. The psychologist Abraham Maslow created this model. He believed that people could not focus on the needs higher up the pyramid until they had the needs in the lower levels. Maslow also felt that the fulfillment in the life results from being able to meet the needs in all 5 levels. So he divided into 5 key human needs which are required: physiological needs, safety, social, love, belongingness, esteem, and self-actualization needs. Physiological needs is the physical needs that human meets in order to survive, such as food, clothes, warmth, shelter, and sleep. Safety needs includes that make human feel safe: order, predictability, having a sense of control. Safety like living and working in a safe environment, having a stable and a sufficient source of income, feeling protected from crime, being in a good physical health. All these are safety measures. Social needs like making friends, giving and receiving affection, emotional intimacy, feeling accepted by loved ones. Esteem needs. Esteem is admiration and respect. Maslow divided this part of the pyramid into 2 subcategories: the esteem a person has for themselves, and self-esteem, the respect they desire from others. Self-esteem involves a healthy positive regard for oneself. The things which a person needs to have good self-esteem, self-worth, which is when a person feels they have value. Competency, which involves feeling skilled or knowledgeable. Dignity, which is feeling worthy of respect. Independence, which is in this context means a person feels they can do things for themselves. Esteem from others involve gaining respect from peers, acknowledgement, status or prestige, fame and reputation. Then last need comes self-actualization need. The highest need on Maslow's pyramid is self-actualization, which involves a person knowing themselves, understanding their full potential and reaching it. This is different from the esteem needs of the previous section. According to Maslow, people who become self-actualized find motivation in growth and possibility than trying to gain something they lack. They see things that they or their community could achieve and they pursue them whether or not it results in the external reward or not. Application for Maslow's theory was basically where does it was used? In childcare, healthcare, education. These are the certain industries where these application of Maslow's were taken care of. Yet Maslow's theory was criticized. The order of the needs within the hierarchy is arbitrary. That one criticism of Maslow's theory involves the order of needs within the hierarchy. Some critics say that while it is logical to put physiological needs first and self-actualization last, people do not necessarily pursue or obtain the needs in this order. Many of them do not agree. For example, some argue that a healthy relationship with oneself is an important requirement for having healthy relationships with others. Maslow himself met people who valued self-esteem more than love. So Maslow's theory has its obligations, had certain criticisms with it. Self-actualization is not linear. In his early work, Maslow argued that a person could only self-actualize once they had met their basic needs. However, sometimes not being able to meet one's basic needs helps people identify their self-actualization goals. For example, a person may have a stable career for many years, fulfilling their safety needs. The self-actualization teaching is not generalizable. Another criticism of the concept of self-actualization is that Maslow largely based his ideas on the biographies of notable historical figures, most of whom were educated white men. As such, the traits he observed in these successful individuals may not apply to all people. Moreover, people have applied the hierarchy in a range of ways, including in education, child development, and healthcare. Psychologists can use it to understand things that may be contributing to mental health conditions too. However, there are some misconceptions and criticism about Maslow's theory. Second theory of motivation, that is Herzberg's two-factor theory. In 1959, Frederick Herzberg, a behaviorally scientist, proposed a two-factor theory or the motivation hygiene theory. According to Herzberg, there are some job factors that result in satisfaction, while there are other job factors that prevent dissatisfaction. According to Herzberg, the opposite of satisfaction is no satisfaction, and the opposite of satisfaction is no dissatisfaction. So he had divided into two categories: the hygiene factors, which are job factors which are essential for existence of motivation at workplace. They do not lead to positive satisfaction for long term. But if these factors are absent, it leads to dissatisfaction. Examples are pay, company policies and administrative policies, fringe benefits, physical working conditions, status, interpersonal relations. And second, when we come to the motivation factors, according to Herzberg, the hygiene factors cannot be regarded as the motivators. The motivational factors yield positive satisfaction. These factors are inherent to work. These factors motivate the employees for a superior performance. These factors are called satisfiers. These are factors involved in performing the job. Employees find these factors intrinsically rewarding. The motivators symbolize these psychological needs, that were perceived as an additional benefit. Motivational factors include recognition, sense of achievement, growth and promotional opportunities, responsibility, meaningfulness of the work. Now, the limitations with this theory. The two-factor theory overlooks situational variables. Herzberg assumed a correlation between satisfaction and productivity. The theory's reliability is uncertain. No comprehensive measure of satisfaction is being used. The two-factor theory is not free from bias as it is based on the natural reaction of employees when they are inquired the sources of satisfaction and dissatisfaction at work. The theory ignores the blue-collar workers. So the two-factor theory implies that the managers must stress upon guaranteeing the adequacy of the hygiene factors to avoid employee dissatisfaction. Also, the managers must make sure that the work is stimulating and rewarding so that the employees are motivated to work and perform harder and better. This theory emphasizes open job enrichment so as to motivate the employees. The job must utilize the employees' skills and competencies to the maximum. Coming to the third theory, that is McKellen's achievement motivation theory. McKellen, again, the three needs theory, also known as the need theory, is best known theory of David McKellen, a Harvard professor who spent 30 years conducting research on motivation. He sought to understand human nature and develop tools to measure how people make choices. McKellen's theory of three needs outlines the three desires that an individual could possibly have. Each person is motivated by power, affiliation, or achievement. One trait is usually more dominant, but others are present in the individual as well. There are many theories that examine motivation, some of which may be similar elements to McKellen's theory. For example, in his achievement model, McKellen studies those who try and better and achieve more. This is similar to Herzberg's ideas on high and low achievers as well as Maslow's theory of self-actualization. So when we talk about David Clarence, just see the cursor. David Clarence McKellen, he was an American psychologist, motivation three needs theory, need for achievement, that is personal responsibility, feedback, moderate risk, And typical behaviors must win at any cost and must be on top and receive credit. If an individual's predominant motive is achievement, they are motivated to do better for the sake of doing so. They hope to exceed expectations and are pleased when they surpass their peers. These individuals like challenges and want to be in charge of their success. Achievement-oriented individuals will change the situation or the location if they feel like it is not meeting their needs. They do not like working in groups because they do not like having limited control over the outcome. Instead, they prefer to do work where the results are clear and visible. Many entrepreneurs are motivated by the achievement. They have the drive to be successful and thus in turn vital to the economy. Then second is need for power. Power means authority here. Second, need for power. Authority, that is influence, influencer, competitive, demands blind loyalty, harm, does not tolerate a disagreement. If an individual's motive is power, they are motivated to influence others and take control. While the extreme example of Hitler in Nazi Germany may come into your mind, this motive actually takes on a more mild form of coach or a leader. They do not seek to implement a dictatorship but hope to motivate others. A coach is a good example because it perfectly illustrates the idea of letting the players do their job while they assess the situation and make decisions. The players and the employees are aware of their responsibilities and are highly skilled to perform them. McKellen found that power-motivated individuals were best suited for leadership positions within a company if they were able to effectively delegate tasks in the workforce. They were often able to be successful leaders. This does not mean that all power-motivated individuals will make good leaders. Each personality is unique, and those who are aggressive and authoritative may actually decrease the work performance of their employees. So, third is need for affiliation. Need for affiliation. Need for affiliation, acceptance and friendship cooperative. Desires control of everyone and everything, exaggerates own position and resources. If an individual's need is motive is affiliation, they are essentially motivated by social connections. They are primarily motivated to fit in and please others and value their relationship with their peers. These individuals appreciate familiar situations and are unlikely to leave their work location. They also do not like working alone and try to avoid disappointing their co-workers and managers at all costs. So, even though affiliation motivated individuals work well in team, they are often not the best employees. They are not motivated to do better as they are content to stay in their position. There is no drive to improve their employee status or their personal position, which makes them in fact the least effective workers. Equity theory of motivation. In the equity theory of motivation, employees' motivation depends on their perception of how fair is the compensation and treatment for their work input. Equity theory states that the employee perceive what they get from a job situation about what they put into it and then compare their inputs. So outcomes ratios with the input, outcome ratios of others. The equity theory of motivation describes the relationship between employee's perception of how fairly he is being treated and how hard he is motivated to work. And J. Stacey Adams developed this equity theory, and again with this theory he had put down inputs. Inputs should include all rich and diverse elements that employees believe they bring or contribute to the job. Outcomes are rewards they perceive they get from their jobs, and employers' outcomes include direct pays, bonuses, fringe benefits, job security, etc. Over-rewarded. If employees feel over-rewarded, equity theory predicts that when they will feel an imbalance in the relationship with their employee, they seek to restore and that balance. Equity. If employees perceive equity, then they will be motivated to continue to contribute at about the same level. Unrewarded. Unrewarded who feel they have been unrewarded and seek to reduce their feeling inequity through the same types of strategies. So this can be given by a formula: individuals' outcomes upon individuals' own inputs is equal to relational partners' outcomes upon relational partners' inputs. This can be given by this formula. So when we talk about employees' roles played by equity in motivation, employees make comparison between their job inputs and outcomes related to those of others. Normally, they do like that. Then we had another theory, goal setting theory of motivation. In 1960s, Erwin Locke put forward the goal setting theory of motivation. This theory states that the goal setting is essentially linked to task performance. It states that specific challenging and goals with the appropriate feedback contribute to higher and better tasks. In simple words, goals indicate and give direction to an employee about what needs to be done and how much efforts are to be put in. Features: the willingness to work towards attainment of goal is the main source of job motivation. Clear, particular and difficult goals are greater motivating factors than easy and general vague goals. Specific and clear goals lead to greater output, better performance. Unambiguous, measurable and clear goals accompanied by a deadline for completion avoids misunderstanding. Goals should be realistic and challenging. This gives an individual a feeling of pride and triumph when he attains them, sets him up for the attainment of next goal. The more challenging the goal, the greater is the reward generally, and the more is the passion for achieving it. Better and appropriate feedback of results directs the employee's behavior and contributes to higher performance than absence of feedback. Feedback is a means of gaining reputation, making clarifications, and regulating goal difficulties. It helps employees to work with more involvement and leads to greater job satisfaction. Employees' participation in goal is not always desirable. Participation of setting goal, however, makes goal more acceptable and leads to more involvement. So when we talk about goal setting theory, it has certain eventualities such as self-efficiency and goal commitment. Self-efficiency is the individual's self-confidence and faith that he has potential of performing the task. Higher the level of self-efficiency, greater will be the efforts put in by the individual when they face challenging tasks. Goal setting theory assumes that the individual is committed to the goal and will not leave the goal. The goal commitment is dependent on the following factors. Goals are made open, known and broadcasted. Goals should be set self by individual rather than designated. Individual set goals should be consistent with the organizational goals and vision. And when we say the advantages of goal setting theory is a technique used to raise incentives for employees to complete work quickly and effectively. Goal setting theory leads to better performance by increasing motivation and efforts, but also through increasing and improving the feedback quality. Yet, this theory has certain limitations with it, which says at times the organization goals are in conflict with the managerial goals. Goal conflict has a detrimental effect on the performance if it motivates incompatible action, drift. Very difficult and complex goals stimulate riskier behavior. If the employee lacks skills and competencies to perform actions essential for goal, then the goal setting can fail and lead to undermining of performance. There is no evidence to prove that goal setting improves job satisfaction. The theory never says that the goal setting theory would improve job satisfaction. It only indicates yet if the person works towards the goal achievement, it can lead to better incentives, raise incentives so that employee gets motivated and work quickly and work efficiently. Yet there is no landmark which says that no, it would definitely increase job satisfaction. It can increase to certain level to a motivation and efforts, but not the satisfaction level. Thank you.